that don't bring anything and so those were all contradictory stuff, and I always gave pushback to that type of stuff, because like you said, like if sometimes females listening to all that, they could be like, damn, okay, am I supposed to bring something? So nah, that's why I do give pushback to that shit. But I see your point, because yeah, it is all over the place, and I think that's why like some of the guys are starting to come back, and they was giving pushback to some of those philosophies. Oh, go ahead.
And the whole biggest thing that they would always say is, well, you need to choose better. Well, choosing better would probably mean that we wouldn't even choose the person that would say that. Like, what do you mean choosing better? Like, what do you mean by choosing better? Like, I think that makes a person actually look lesser than to say that, well, to choose better. Like, what? I don't know. relationships go up and down. Things happen. To say that women are not choosing right, because I've dated guys that made less money than me, and it didn't turn out too good. It was a struggle, because it becomes like this whole thing with, like the ego problem, like of a thing where men eventually will feel like they're not bringing anything to the table. So then they begin to eventually resent you for it. So I can see why a woman probably want a man that makes a little more money than she does, so that there's not that weird dynamic of the guy kind of feeling resentful towards her because she's like, the bread, like kind of a breadwinner situation. So it's almost like you have to date within your, price, what you're making or whatever, or even your level of where you are.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. I think where people get the issues when they start mixing in all the other preferences and stuff, and then they start kind of looking at the situation, and this is man and female, where it's like, okay, I want all these different things, but now I want to also take shit off my plate. So that's where it gets all tricky and jumbled up, because it's just like, man, you're asking for something that's probably already rare. Like when you start making up to certain levels, that'd be like, for example, like for me personally, I like women that makes good money and has a certain mindset. So I can't be on that same point, be like, oh, I'll only date dimes. No, I go for character more. So like I tell people all the time, I'm like, man, I'll drop down in looks for somebody with a certain mindset. So like if you do it like that, then yeah, you expand that like pool. But if you're like locked in, like, oh, well, this person has to have this, then the money component, like Truth was saying, that's where it gets rare and stuff. But one last thing, but to answer your question, DJ Genesis, where you were asking about when does 50-50 kick in? I think those talks should be happening like early in the conversation. So like with me, if I was like I was single right now and I'm out here and I'm dating, I'll let people know my expectations and stuff. So that way it's like I don't believe in tricking people. So it's like, hey, if that's not their dynamic, that's fine. But at least I'll let you know up front. Like, this is what I kind of expect. This is why I do it. I'll break down the purpose and all that. Then I think once you start like living with each other, that's when the dynamic probably should start, depending on salary. So honestly, if say there was a big imbalance in salaries, I'm not going to have that same expectation across the board. You'll just adjust some things. But I think once you start moving in with each other, that's when that dynamic should start.
I was going to also ask another question. Do you think a lot of these conversations, because a lot of these conversations, people look grown as heck on these panels, but it sounds like the conversation that they having is like an 18-year-old, 19, 20-year-old like discussion. The way that they kind of address a lot of these issues are from the frame of a 20-year-old, even though they might be in their mid 30s, sometimes 40s or older. They are talking as if they're in their 20s. And they're just now getting into the dating field and stuff like that. Why don't they have more adult conversations from the actual level that they're on? You know what I'm saying? You're 35. Why are you talking about stuff like you're in your 20s? Why isn't the conversation elevated to the age group that you're in?
Yeah, because I think a lot of times, everybody want to speak in generalities and stuff. And I think that was fine, like a couple years ago. But it's like now, like you said, it's like we need to start honing down to like the actual, like, okay, man, we're past generalities and the statistics. Let's talk about like what we need to do now or where you're at. Like you said, giving specific examples and stuff. So I think it does need to start, morphing into that.
Before they even have the panel, they say, how old is everybody on this panel? And if everybody's over 30, then the conversation needs to be 30 and above, not like 25 and like discussing, because they would discuss so much things that sound so childish, and it's like, I mean, how old are y'all? You know what I'm saying? At this age, people are probably even dealing with having children, whether or not they're going to have children or not. The conversation doesn't seem to lift past like the basic level a lot of times on these panels, and it's like, okay, do you have children? I mean, when you're asking these questions about, like, I mean, how many of these women, I didn't get to see what the woman said that was kind of out of line in this thing, but the question is, do you have children? Are you already running your own household? And what would be the difference in your response if you factored all that in, you know?
Yeah. So DJ, can I ask you a question real quick? So, what dynamic in a relationship would you, because you sound pretty level-headed, like you're based on the questions you was asking and stuff. What kind of like dynamic would you be comfortable with, or do you kind of like look for?
Well, to me, I'm at the age now, I'm about to be 50. So I'm more companionship. I've been in relationships, I've had kids, I own my own home. So being married to me would be a little bit more of a risk, because if I were to get married, then if I have to be very careful about who I marry, because then that means that if we get divorced, my house could go to that man. If he, it could be a situation where I'm divvying up my house and this, that, the other that I already got beforehand. So I got to think about prenuptial agreements. So there's a lot more different. So I'm in a different mindset than a lot of these conversations. So that's why I'm like, how come no one has those conversations at the age of like that, of like when you get older, you start buying your home. You know what I'm saying? Like if a woman is a homeowner and she gets married to a man that's not a homeowner, then that becomes joint property. And then what happens? Like, and you're saying 50-50. So what are you talking about? Like 50-50. If you move into my house, or should we get another house? Should I sell my house and you take what you got and we buy a house together? If we're going to be doing 50-50, but if you're coming into, because I saw someone say in the comments, well, you women always kick the men out the house. Well, should a man be even moving into a house with a woman? Should he be the one? Should they do it together? Like, these are the questions people need to be asking, like at this age, when they're in their 30s, not just
but nobody's being genuine in those conversations. Because when you're in your 30s and you're talking about buying a house, it's, oh no, we're gonna be together forever. I'm always gonna love you. Like those are the conversations. There's not any just in case this doesn't work out. Like nobody goes into a that's why a lot of women feel disrespected whenever they hear prenup. Like, hey, I'm not trying to say I don't want to be with you, but just in case, here's a prenup. Oh no, hell no, you disrespecting. Like, and I'm trying to imagine having a conversation about, hey, just in case we don't work out, who's gonna live where, who's taking what, and who has to leave out and get an apartment. Like, people aren't looking to have that conversation for real. They feel disrespected by that. Like, oh, you already plotting on leaving me. Fuck you.
That's like broke. That's because people are not coming from a place of actually having any. What is it called? Of lack instead of having. But if you guys build things together or you have things already, you're not going to be thinking about the basic conversations that are happening. That's what I'm like. Okay, some of these conversations need to be elevated a little more, because unless they just plan on staying where they are they thinking about home ownership? Are they thinking about like the things that happen? Like, because marriage is a business to me. That's why it's a business. Like, when you come together, it's a contract you sign. You guys say that you're going to be together for this amount of time. You sign on a dotted line. If it doesn't work out, you breach the contract. Then things got to be divvied up. But I think when people look at it like from a love standpoint only, that's where you run into a problem, because marriage is a business. And I think that's why other cultures, when the family is involved and this, that, the other, it takes it out of that business and becomes a family orientated thing. And those marriages actually last longer, like those arranged marriages, those dowry marriages and things like that.
No, that's a good point, DJ. And it's funny, like one of the reasons why, like, I didn't do the traditional type of marriage and stuff, because like I saw my parents when they got divorced. My dad ended up have to give my mom some money and stuff, but like it wasn't enough to really for her to flourish financially and stuff. And it was probably like on a higher end amount that most people have to pay for like alimony and shit. But still, like, she kind of lagged behind. So like when I met my wife, I'm like, hey man, like she came from a divorced family also and stuff. So we talked about it. I was like, hey man, I don't want to do that typical setup. I want you to have like some goals and stuff and, pursue some things because like, say we don't work out, if you don't have yourself established, if I have to give you something, it's probably not gonna be enough. And I don't want nobody to be in that state. So she understood it too, because like her mom was in the same like not the greatest financial position. So we looked at it like we have to have these conversations because we can't be on la la land. We both know like divorce can happen. So it's like, man, let's both put ourselves in a good position. Like hopefully that don't happen and we could just flourish and keep building with each other. But if it don't, at least we could both be in a good state. And then, hey, when we have to split up everything, since we were working with each other, that pot's going to be bigger and we both be like walking away good. So yeah, I do think like people need to start having these different conversations. And even like you said, because like I'm 46 now. So like say if I was out here single, I'm gonna be looking at it from like your lens. Like, man, I got some assets. Like I can't just be jumping to some shit. We gotta sign some paperwork because I got a son and I gotta make sure like I protect that legacy passing something down. So what you're talking about, I definitely agree.
Assets and things like that. People are not having those conversations about assets. All right, so we only just go to surface level of just relationship surface on the surface. Okay, you're in an apartment. You're not thinking that one day you'll be in a house and you'll own something that you want to pass down to your kids. And then what happens in the relationship when you guys?
I have actually a story about that for someone, because that actually happened with a guy that I knew, where his mom, she had all the assets, right? She had property, she had materials, whatever like you could think of, she had it. And unfortunately, like because she was part of like a religious like practice or whatever, you get married to a total stranger or whatever, and you're not thinking about, well, what happens like when you pass, suddenly. Now, will everything go into your son, your biological son, to make sure that he's like secure? Not that unfortunately like he would have done any better anyways, but the fact is that his mother never really thought about, protecting her assets, to at least leaving something, like for her son. And unfortunately, when she had a sudden heart attack and she passed, everything went into his stepdad's like name, to her husband's name. The house, her bank account, like all her finances that was intended, right, was to like help for her son. It all went for his family, and the dude didn't really get a dime, like out of it. I'll say he probably got a little something, because the one thing she did leave him, right, from what I remember, I think she left him with not 10, sorry, $100,000 or something. But she had a way more money than that, and it went all the way to like her husband, because she didn't really do like a full check. She didn't like sign like had like a will, set out, a full will set out for him. You know, now the dude's a fucking idiot, because $100,000 I would have definitely utilized something, but he spent all over like like just clubs and booze and all the other shit.
Yeah,
So
that's crazy.
yeah, so I know it's almost gonna sound redundant me even talking about that, but the point is that a lot of times, we don't really have those type of conversations, because those conversations, like what Watts is saying, what I call it is called taboo. Basically, if you talk about like prenups, if you talk about like splitting assets and dividing into like family, like your own immediate families, yes, like they'll get upset. The spouse, the future spouse will get upset. Or they'll look at it as like, well, that's not very Christ-like or whatever, right? Because I had those conversations even with people like from like the church, when the whole topic was about joint banking and all this other bullshit, and living your life free and trusting in the Lord and all the other shit. But then when shit does hit the fan, now you're like, damn, man, like, I should have trusted myself, or I should have had some emergency like plans or funds like set up because you never know when the person that you're with, or you think that you're gonna have this fairy tale wedding and live happy ever after. It's gonna one day, it's gonna like fade away, and then it's like you're gonna be moving on to like the next relationship, or you just gonna be moving like you're just living a life for now, like by yourself, and now have to try to start over and figure out, man, like how can I really adjust when you could have had a contingency plan the whole time around.
Yeah, depending on who the person is, I really have no empathy for you. You sat down and had a conversation with your woman talking about what do you bring to the table, and and are you going to like you sat down and have all those conversations, all those little goofy ass internet conversations, but not one time did you sit down and say, what happens if you get tired of me? Hey, this is what I'm gonna do. If this doesn't work out, this is what I have set up for you. Like you're not willing to that taboo shit. Like, nah, fuck that. You was willing to have all of these little goofy conversations, these non-productive conversations about shit that really ain't gonna do nothing for your relationship. But you didn't have the conversation about what happens if it doesn't work. It's kind of your fault, big dog. Like, especially at this grown ass age. Like, I'm understanding what DJ's saying. Like, bro, how you 30 something? You done worked your ass off your whole life to finally buy your first house, and you didn't have any prerequisite conversation before you brought this bitch in here. Yeah. Good luck. Good luck. I hope she take the garage too. Fuck.
And I'll say another thing that people don't even talk about is that a lot of these guys, especially when they get to about 30 something, they might have more than one kid. Are they paying their child support? Do you know that if you get married to somebody and they owe back child support, then it also becomes your responsibility to help pay their child support? People don't think about the financial aspect of marriage like enough. Like they just go into love. The guy bends down and gives the ring, but it's like, have y'all really had an in-depth financial conversation about like how do you handle your finance? How's your credit? You know what I'm saying? I think that before anybody gets married, they need to at least have a 650. Both parties need to have at least 650 and show that they can pay bills on time and all that stuff, because they say the biggest things that break up a marriage is the financial aspect. That could break a marriage. What's the guy, Billy Carson, right? He got whatever happened with him. He got like kind of they kind of bust him out online about like whatever he said about the Bible. I think that marriage lasted probably maybe maybe even 6 months to a year more, and she was gone because the finances started going bad, and then she's online talking bad about him. So it's interesting how when that financial conversation is not had off rip, it can cause havoc in the relationship. So I think that these conversations are shallow. I know that these women, maybe they might be in their 20s or whatever, late 20s, early 30s. And I think the men are in their 30s. I think that they're having a very shallow conversation altogether. I think they need to get into the finances of it all, the real finances, and have a real conversation about finances, not so much about what are you bringing to the table and 50-50 and this, that, the other. What about like, if we're trying to grow together, what's going to happen then when we pool our resources together?
I agree with y'all, but I think sometimes you got to start from those baselines. But like you said, take it to that next level, because I think sometimes like, it could be a simple concept. Cause like I said, I'm a 50-50 guy, just as far as like the theory that both people need to be coming in there, like contributing to the household. So I think when people hear it, they go all like, they start making all these assumptions on it. It's just like, no, like, I like the question you asked earlier, DJ Genesis, like, hey, the females that like lost their jobs, it's like, hey, if we work together, then we could weather that storm. And that's why I want people to go, like you said, looking at things from like a financial perspective versus all this like hunkering down everybody in their lanes and like, oh, a man should only do this. We don't care about the mindset, the finances. It's just like, nah, we should be working together, build up. Hey, if something happens, we could go our separate ways. But yeah, we got to start looking at, all these different angles. Cause I like, even like you said, like, man, when you start getting into your 40s and 50s, man, women have assets. Cause like my sister, she's in that boat. And I was telling her, I was like, man, you can't be just like getting with any type of guy. You got like, your shit together. So you do gotta like kind of define stuff because you got some kids and stuff, and you gotta make sure you pass down that legacy and stuff. So yeah, we gotta come to that whole conversation or these relationships from a whole different angle nowadays, especially when females are earning stuff and got some stuff together.
And
Family, I gotta get ready to go.
One more
But,
thing I want to say too is that
All right, M3, thanks for pulling up.
No problem.
Did you
All right,
want to
guys.
get something else to say, M3? I'm sorry before you leave.
No. DJ and Watch, thank you for pulling up, and DJ, thank you for your awesome perspective of things too. So, these are some wonderful conversations like to really have and digest. Unfortunately, I do have to get ready to go, but I wish you guys like a blessed day.
You too, M3. Thanks for pulling up again.
No problem, man. All right, take care.
The thing I was going to bring up too is that when you expect a woman to like only be a housewife, you know what ends up happening is that if that relationship breaks up and that woman hasn't done anything to foster her own like finance have her own kind of money or be advancing, if that relationship breaks up, she ends up with your kids darn near homeless. And I've seen it.
Yourself up to be responsible that way. You're setting yourself up to have to put that. So even if you would do all you do is drive a bus and you made your wife be a stay-at-home mom, all that shit, you're setting yourself up to have to pay her alimony and child support and give her the house, and you're setting yourself up for that by not having that conversation. I agree.
Why do you think that people aren't having that conversation? Or do you think people are in delusion? They think they're still 20 years old?
I think it's a pride thing, right? I think it's a pride thing on both sides. There's a pride level in a man where it's like, oh yeah, nigga, I make enough money to take care of my whole house. Don't nobody gotta help me. I do this. I'm a man, right? And then a woman, for her, there's a certain level of pride for her to be able to say, oh, I found me a man that paid all my bills and he take me on vacations. It's like people are stuck in their pride on this internet bullshit, and they not really focus on what happens in real life whenever you try and fulfill these roles. Because being the only income, because I don't know how lucky a motherfucker can get to find a job where you have the income to take care of your entire household, where you not breaking your back. Like you have to go find a job that's going to destroy you, or go work multiple jobs to be the primary income. Now, sometimes you do get in a situation where you're like SJ, and you could find you a nice job. You know what I'm saying? You can sit behind a desk and make your money. But everybody doesn't. Like, most of us don't go to college. Most of us don't find 6-figure career fields. So you putting yourself in a position to be coming home mad because I done worked a 12-hour shift and she ain't cooked me no meal. You setting yourself up for the expectation of disappointment, in my opinion, when you do that whole make her stay at home shit.
Yeah, 100. You are facts. It's ego, but it's also, I think, in a way, man, it's bad leadership, DJ. Because just like I was telling somebody, I'm like, if you don't get to the point where you could leave like a ton of money, say like you end up like passing, you die or something. Now your family's screwed because it's like your wife or like if you're not married or something, but you're living with each other. It's just like, she won't have no skill set. So now, like you said, you got kids and stuff. So now, a lot of those females, it's almost like they have to jump into another relationship. Now, what happened if that guy don't have his shit together and he's like, a shitty man and stuff? So that a lot of people don't think this stuff out, because we had this one neighbor one time, man, where the husband, he didn't let the wife do nothing. She didn't know like how to pay bills or anything. So he ended up dying in a motorcycle crash. So me and my wife had to go over there, like help her, like figure all this stuff out. But she was just like, oblivious to like all this stuff. And it was sad, man, because like, just seeing her just like flustered, like trying to do just basic things. And I think a lot of men, it's like what 100 was saying, it's like, man, you're kind of setting them people up for failure, because yeah, we think we're just invincible. And then when you mix in that ego, it's just like, and even what DJ Genesis was saying, it's like the same people like Tyrese and them, they'll be sitting there mad that they got to go to court, but they set up that dynamic like that where, they got to pay out this money and stuff. So it's just like DJ Genesis said, we need to have the actual conversations. Like, look, man, this is the outcome. We know we don't like it because guys lawyer up. They don't want to pay that money. you know, females don't want to be in a position where like they're struggling. You know, if the marriage don't work out, we know by statistics like there's a high probability this shit might not work out. Like let's be adults and start having these better conversations. So that's what I'm trying to do. So I'm definitely glad y'all pulled up and stuff. So I'm gonna have to start hitting y'all up, man. We can start breaking down some of these topics and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Because one panel that drives me insane is the fatty panel, where they talk about this type of stuff. And now you see, even in the Anton Daniels situation, where that has gotten kind of crazy, you know. And it's like where you have him pretty much like talking about his wife like she's just nothing, you know, and she's pretty much like the person behind, like kind of running his whole operation. But then he's able to get on these things and talk about her, but she's running the show in the background. So I don't know whether like she's just letting like pimping him out, or I don't know what's going on, but like because I've booked him before. You do everything through his wife. His wife is running his whole business. So like, like
No, I like Fatty's lives because I think every conversation's important. Like I think everybody can have their different conversations, and I think people might be at different, like you said, age groups and stuff. So I think, you know, sometimes you need people to I'll not say extreme, but I think the way they go about it, I think that sometimes that might be the starter phase of a conversation. And then I think sometimes it leads to other conversations. So that's why I'm not one of them people like, now why are they having them conversations? We need to shut it down. It's like, nah, let them talk. Because typically when you let people talk, they start, you know, they might need to get some stuff out their system. And then, you know, they will pivot to a whole different type of conversation and stuff. So I think they're needed, but I do think like we need to like set up other conversations where we dig in a little deeper.
I think that goes to what DJ was saying about like, why are you having 20-year-old conversations? Because sometimes I do hear certain panels. It could be Fatty, it could be Anton. There's a lot of different fucking panels out here, and sometimes I sit and I watch it, and I get like 5 or 10 minutes in and be like, oh my god, y'all sound like young ass little kids, bro. I can't even do this shit. Like, it sounds like an age group that I'm not even at my age of 33. I'm not dealing with. I'm not dealing with a 21-year-old girl. I'm not dealing with a 19-year-old female. So sometimes those conversations feel very beginner. These are entry-level bullshits. Like, why are we still talking about this? Like,
you're still talking about body count and sex and just stupid ass stuff. Like,
I'm 30, brother. I know what I was doing in high school. I know what high school was like. So your body count just from high school alone. Yeah, you know.
No, but to be fair, man, because I know like you know, they'll do like other topics and stuff. But man, I think sometimes it's hard to get the right people to have those conversations. Because you might want to set it up. Because I tried it before. I tried to talk about like a college reform. And I pulled people up there, man, they was just like, I don't know about that. So I think sometimes that's the issue too. It's the limitations of some of the people in the space.
Do you think that we probably just don't have a lot of people that are really on any level, like that are actually on these panels that can talk on that level, or is that what it is? Like, why?
I think we got a good amount of people, because I see some talented people, but I think it's just like so spread out to where, you know, everybody's doing their own thing, where like it's hard to merge everybody that could have those conversations. Because like I said, I seen Fatty trying to have the politics ones, the groundbreaking, but you know, probably trying to coordinate everybody. That's an issue. So yeah, I think it is like a limited pool of people that can have those conversations, but trying to gather everybody up, that's where it gets tricky.
But I think that, like I said, when we're in our 30s and 40s having a 20-year-old conversation discussing promiscuity and this, that, the other, because that seems to be the biggest like conversation point in these thing, is women are promiscuous and women are this and y'all women are that, you know, whatever they be talking about. And it's like, what are y'all? Why are we still at the base level in relationship conversations? And half the people that are having those conversations are not even married. And it's like, you see why, you know, well, I see why you're not married, because you're not even mentally even thinking past go, and your conversations are at a very base level. When you elevate your conversation, and you know, conversation rules a nation. elevate your conversation. And I think that you elevate your panel, you elevate everybody's conversation. They actually have to think more and have to consider like more at their age group. You know, let's stop reminiscing about the 20s and when we were graduating high or 25 and this, that, the other. It's like, and y'all are all in y'all mid 30s. Probably should have kids. Probably got 2 and 3 kids by now. You know,
instead of arguing over who gonna make a sandwich at 2:00 in the morning, are we about to invest in a 401k for our child, or are we investing in a college fund for our child? Are we about to put this money into a property for our child, or are we about to put this into account so it can go directly? Like, we're talking about
nobody is having that conversation.
So, yes,
where is that conversation? Please, if I saw a panel saying that, I'd be like, oh yes, let me join that panel because I learned something about how to like. Okay, what do I do? Like, how do you save money for your kid when you kind of like struggling and it gets kind of tough? You know, right now, you know, what do you do when you know gas prices are high? I mean, how do you even save money? You know, I even found out that there's lights that like water. You put it in some water, the light up.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and we're up here. You know, I got like even let me tell you something. Even a deeper conversation. Solar panels. Should you put solar panels on your house or not? You know, absolutely not. That's a scam. Like all the scams that are going on in this world, like that. You know, we need to have more panels that have adult conversations over 30. You know,
but nobody told us those.
Sense. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm tired of talking about nonsense all the time.
Nobody showed.
No, I'm with you definitely. If y'all want me to, because do you got a channel, DJ?
Yeah, it's at DJ Genesis Detroit. It's mainly, you know, I've been doing a lot more spirituality conversations and stuff like that now. But you know, I had like my moment with the politics, and I had to kind of back off of that because I was getting kind of attacked. So you'll see a lot of politics on there. You know, a lot of.
Yeah, let me know if you ever. Yeah, hit me up. I'm sophisticated at IG. I'll definitely pull up because I do like 100. I know he could have a lot of those conversations. Yeah, wherever y'all at, man, y'all want to pull them up, and I'm gonna start structuring those type of conversations because I want people to switch their mindset, man, looking at the bigger picture.
And everybody's talking about this trust, though. Just everybody, about 5 people today said you just establish a trust, revocable bond, and this, that, the other. Some people say you could take insurance and borrow from the insurance. But honey, I'm like, shoot, like what? Like that there needs to be someone to even help out how to do that. Like what? Like I mean, can you do it off ChatGPT? Will ChatGPT help you put together the trust? Because I don't know how to do a trust.
Them trusts get tricky.
See?
Yeah, you definitely got to have a financial person to set that up.
It's just so easy. Just make a trust and put it into. Like put your house into a trust and put this into a trust. Okay, well, what is that? Like how? You know? Now, ChatGPT do it, and I heard not to use ChatGPT because the Pentagon is running it now. I heard that they like took it over. Are you aware of that?
What a surprise!
What was that?
That the Pentagon took over ChatGPT.
Damn, I ain't even hear that.
Yeah, like they're like all your information. The Pentagon. That's why. Everybody's moving to Claude, but yeah, so like AI, I mean, I do a lot of like if I want to find something out, I do a lot of AI looking up stuff. But like how you know is that because AI is a sycophant. Like so people say, oh well, just do a trust. Okay, well we need like a trust lawyer that could like come in and talk about how to set up a trust because no one knows like that. It's easy to say that, but if you don't know how to do it, you could mess yourself up. You know.
No, that's a good one. Yeah, because I had some questions about it because I was looking at something and somebody was breaking it down. I was looking at their like some YouTube thing, and then I hit up the financial guy that does a lot of my stuff because she was talking about like the taxes. Most people would set it up, but they don't understand like it's only really good if you got like a certain dollar amount in there, like in the high millions. And she was just talking about like how people think they could evade taxes. She's like, that IRS is coming for all that money now because people were giving wrong information. So like you said, yeah, I'm definitely going to have them pull up and give some breakdown because I didn't know all that. I thought if you could like put assets in there, you could hide it. They were like, nah, people getting caught up now because of all that.
Insurance. They say, oh, you just get an insurance and then you can borrow against the insurance. Well, I mean, I'm sure there are people out there that know how to do that. You know what I'm saying? But like, at what point can you borrow against it? Like, when can you borrow? Like, can you do it immediately? Like, how does that work? You know, I mean, borrow a HELOC, all these different things that are involved with like investing. You know, a lot of people will try to tell you to put some money into Bitcoin, invest your money into Bitcoin. I think that's gambling to me. It sounds like you gambling. You know, throwing your money into Bitcoin is gambling. You know, same thing as the stock market. So to me, I feel like a lot of like the advice out here when it comes down to stuff is people just heard it somewhere else and haven't even done it themselves, and they're just saying to do that, you know, because that they heard it somewhere.
Nah, I agree with you. What's good, Rufus?
How you doing, sir? Good morning, everybody. Or good afternoon, I should say.
Hey, Rufus.
Yeah, probably morning for you. You be up all night.
Yeah, Rufus be up on them. I'll be seeing them lives pop up. I'll be trying to get on there, but Rufus, but I'll be like, all right, man, I just laid down. I'm gonna have to catch you on sometime.
They struck my channel and they won't let me stream for a week because something about Charlemagne. I did a reaction and they struck my channel.
Yeah, you can't be
Yeah, that
messing
happened
with
to me in third party. Yep.
DJ Jenners. Who struck yours? What type of video was that one?
I was talking about the recruiting that was about to happen, and everybody in the comments was all like, "Well, if I have to go to war and this, that, the other," so I pulled up a video of Nick Irving, the sniper, how he was crying, you know, and he's a sniper. He is a mercenary killer. He is a killer. You know what I'm saying? But he was crying about the stuff that happened to him during a war. So I was like, what do you think is going to happen to you jumping out there and being thrown into a war? You're going to be crying too. So like, but you know, they, it's a thing called Super Bam, who is like that kind of runs certain, like big, people's content. So you got to be careful because it's almost like if you play music and, it's a thing called DistroKids. If they, are like kind of managing that music, it'll immediately strike your video. Like they got those sniffers out there, and as soon as you play it, boom, they'll give you a strike. And so if you are going to use third party, your best bet is to do the video, upload it, and then see if it gets like do the video first and then upload it, see if it gets hit, and then do the show. Just don't do it like live, because the live AI is way more stricter. And if they strike you while you're live, you can't really you can only play like snippets of it, like, but you can't really keep going. You have to like do a little snippet and move on.
That's good advice. Yeah, I definitely gotta follow that because I'll be getting nervous with all these clips nowadays because everybody's starting to do that copyright stuff. So I know Charlemagne, Ruthless, yeah, they don't mess around. At like Hot 97, you get anything like HBO, they don't play. They'll shut that shit down.
Yeah, I see.
Bitcoin will be dead, and it isn't going to be compliant with the new financial system because it's a slush fund for trafficking and was started by Epstein. Oh my God, what?
Damn. Yeah.
What? Bitcoin was started by Epstein.
I don't know who started that.
God, like what? Like that's some new information right there. I didn't know that.
Unconscious. He in the mix of some unknown stuff.
Right? What?
But all right, y'all, man, I'm gonna go ahead and shut this down and stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna hit all y'all up and see if we can kind of do some lives together.
Yeah, for sure. Because you know, I want to have some more intellectual I'm glad that you are like seem to be more on the intellectual side and not so much about like, because a lot of people like they feed off of like just the arguments of commentary and discussion and having people up there arguing and debating with each other. But it's even better to have a reasonable conversation, an intelligent conversation. Everybody gets their words out, and then we can come to a conclusion. Now we're solving problems. Now we're not just arguing with each other and back and forth with each other. You know,
Definitely. Thank you for that. Yeah, I like having conversations because I like hearing people, man, because I might not have the answer for everything. So my thing is like you said, if we could sit there and listen to other people, man, they might have a better perspective. So even like listening to you can already tell like you have your stuff together by the stuff you was talking about.
Yeah, thank you.
But all right, Ruthless, man, sorry to pull you up and then we about to drop, man. When you going live again?
Shit, I don't know. I think maybe Wednesday. I think that's what my
Oh,
week
okay.
is.
You gonna be free later, man? I'll hit you up. We might do a live or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll hit you up. But all right, y'all, man, I'm out of here. Peace.
All right, peace.